to record this webinar so that we can make sure to capture everyone's questions afterward. We're going to be putting together a Q&A sheet and we'll put that on the website for everyone's benefit. So my name's Ari Reeves, as I said, with the Lighting Global Quality Assurance team, and we're here today to present our new pricing for our quality verification services and to take your questions. There are slides with this presentation, so hopefully you can see the slides. If you're having any trouble seeing them, please send us a note with your email address, and we'll send them out to you that way. We'll make them all available to everyone afterwards as well. So first off, let me introduce the people who are joining me here today on our on the webinar. I'm joined by Luli Sosa, Ana Luisa Sosa, but we all call her Luli, and also by Kim Thorpe. Luli works with me here at CLASP in Washington, D.C., and Kim Thorpe is based in California at the Schatz Energy Research Center, and you'll be hearing from them a bit later in the presentation. So I want to go through a few things today with everyone. First, what is quality verification and why is it valuable, just to kind of set the scene. And then we'll spend a few minutes on our current pricing, so you can understand the context for the new pricing. And I'll explain why we're revising our pricing. And then we'll jump into the new framework, starting with some of the key features of the new pricing. Then we have 7 examples to walk through, which is where you'll really get a sense for how the new pricing will work. And we'll do a comparison between our existing pricing and the new pricing. And then we'll leave plenty of time to answer any questions you might have. So first off, what is Lighting Global Quality Verification? This is a process for quality verifying Pico solar products and SHS kits. The products are sampled. They are sent to a test lab in the Lighting Global Lab Network. The test lab produces test results. They send those results to our team, which is composed of individuals from CLASP and the Schatz Energy Research Center. Our team reviews the results and evaluates them against the Lighting Global quality standards. Products that meet the standards receive a specification sheet, a verification letter, and a listing on the Lighting Global website. And then products that meet those, meet the standards and are quality verified become eligible for associate services offered by the IFC. And also there are a number of other benefits to getting your products quality verified. One is that they can be qualified for certain bulk procurements, results-based financing schemes, working capital facilities, and other financial incentives that are offered by governments and aid agencies, market development programs, etc. Quality verified products can more easily gain entry into markets where the standards, the national standards, align with the Lighting Global quality standards. That means that the test reports and the product status as quality verified can both be used to help support can be used as supporting documentation in obtaining a certificate of conformity to enter that market. Quality verification status also sends a signal to professional buyers, such as distributors, and to investors that your products are high quality. You can have full confidence in the accuracy of your test results. Our team has many years of experience determining how these products should be tested according to the IEC test methods and evaluated according to the quality standards. I think we ensure a very high level of accuracy. So you can be very confident in those results. We also offer a product benchmarking analysis as part of the cover letters currently, so that you can see how your product stacks up against your competitors' products. And we'll come back to that in a few minutes. You can also get expert advice from our team on how to improve your products. So let's look at the current pricing for our quality verification services. And I think to really understand our pricing, you need to look at it in the context of the full cost of getting your products tested and certified or quality verified. So on the left-hand side here, you can see that there are essentially just two different prices that we charge for our services, one for QTM, the market entry testing, and another for renewal testing, $1,000 for the former and $500 for the latter, and the $50 is our standard invoicing fee. And then if you look a little to the right, under typical testing costs, these are ranges of testing costs that we believe companies face when they go to an independent test lab to get their products tested. And we've received, this is based on feedback that we've received from a few companies about the cost of testing. So if you put the two together, you see what the total cost of getting your product tested and quality verified is. And what I've shown here is kind of the low end of each of the ranges. And then in the far right, you can look then at the cost of our quality verification services as a share of the total cost. And it comes out to about 15%. Could be a little more, could be a little less, depending on the product. But in all cases, the cost of the quality verification services themselves are fixed at $1,000 or $500. So why are we looking to change our pricing now? One factor is that demand for our services is quite strong. We've entered into about 100 testing agreements in the past 12 months. So we're continuing to get quite a lot of interest from companies who want to get their products quality verified. At the same time, the product complexity is greater now than it has ever been. We now have 39 quality verified solar home system kits. That's up from about a dozen, I think 2 years ago. And we have now 26 quality verified product families. All of these products and families are more complicated than a simple Pico solar product. And so our labor cost is higher. Our per product labor costs are higher simply by virtue of the fact that the products are more complicated and it takes more time to develop test plans and to review test results and deal with other issues that arise in connection with testing and evaluating these products. Also, because there are now many more complicated products and there are still relatively simple products, there is an unfair distribution of costs across the companies and in particular across products. So every product gets charged. We charge the same amount for every product, regardless of how simple or complicated that product is and how simple or complicated the whole process is for us. And we'd like to change that, fix that. The next reason is that our pricing has remained unchanged for years, while our costs, like everyone's costs, have only increased. And lastly, the industry, we believe that the industry has the capacity to cover a greater portion of the costs of quality verification, as this is part of the whole idea and the long-term vision of mainstreaming the process of product quality, or basically the whole process of quality assurance within the off-grid solar sector. And I'll just note here that even with the new pricing, we expect that donors will continue to cover about 85% of our costs. And it's an even greater, it could be an even greater percentage depending on how you calculate it, what activities of ours you include. So those are the reasons why we've decided to revise the pricing. And you may recall we sought some input from industry and other stakeholders much earlier this year. In March, we ran a survey and we publish the results of that survey. Those are also on our website if you missed them. We have proceeded over the months since to come up with an actual pricing schedule that we think makes sense. So here it is, the new pricing table. It's actually on 2 pages. This is the first of the 2 pages. And there are a few things I want to point out here. One is that we've, instead of charging a fixed fee, as I mentioned, for each Pico product and each SHS kit that's going through market entry testing and that's going through retesting, we have broken out our fees into a base fee for products going through market entry testing of $300 and a base fee for renewal and retesting of $100. And then there will be additional fees assessed on top of that, depending on how many products are being covered by the agreement, by the testing agreement, and how many other components are included in that product. So the pricing is per agreement, and sometimes there's one product or just one component covered under one testing agreement. Sometimes we sign an agreement to include multiple products, and this provides the companies with flexibility to get done what needs to get done at any given point in time. And you can see here, there's no change in our sampling pricing. We're going to continue to charge $500 per event for the most part for sampling. And I won't go into all of the additional fees right now. I think you'll get a better sense for how they all work when we look at the examples. But I will note that the full version of this document is available on the website at the link below. Again, we'll send around the slides later, and you'll be able to find those easily on our website. And when you open that file, the pricing table on the website, you'll see the list of notes that correspond to each of the rows in the table. You see all the superscripts here are the footnotes. All those notes are contained in that full document, so you can get more detail on each of the fees in the table. And then this is the second page of the table. One thing I'll point out here is the benchmarking analysis included in the cover letter. We're going to charge a separate fee for that service, allowing companies that don't wish to purchase the benchmarking analysis to save $100. And in case you've forgotten what the benchmarking analysis looks like, here is a part of a benchmarking analysis for a product. These analyses allow you to compare your product against other products that have been tested through our program in the past year. And if you take the lumen maintenance metric, for example, what this chart is showing is the full range of lumen maintenance results that were obtained from those tests of similar products over the last 12 months. You can see the full range, and you can see the 25 to 75% or percentile values. And the 50% is the middle of the box, and the product in question for which we're delivering this analysis is shown with the X. And this is a standard part of all of our cover letters for Pico products and SHS kits today, and we're going to offer this as an additional option going forward and not include it by default. So in summary, the new features that we just saw are that the price will vary with the complexity of the product. The benchmarking analysis of your product will be optional. And something I haven't mentioned yet is that we're going to waive the $300 base fee for new customers, customers that are bringing their first product to us in an effort to lower the barriers for companies that want to try things out but don't have experience with quality verification. And some of the things that are not changing is our coordination of random sampling. We're going to continue doing that as we have been. No change at all in which products or components need to be tested or how. So this is just about pricing. It's not about testing or how we evaluate products. And no change in our commitment to finding least cost pathways to testing and quality verification. I believe this is a very important part of the service that we provide, which is that we work closely together with the product suppliers to find ways to get their products tested and quality verified at, with the least hassle and the least cost. As I mentioned earlier, we sometimes combine multiple products under a single agreement. We work with you to figure out how we can minimize the number of sampling events required to get a product sampled and into testing and so on. So that's an important part of the service that we're providing to the sector. So we're just about to get into the examples, and I think that if you have questions right now, you'll probably find that they're answered. Many of them are going to be answered in the examples, and we'll also take questions. Maybe we'll stop partway through the examples to take some questions and then wrap up the examples after that. That worked well yesterday. So we have 7 examples. They are a variety of different cases. We're trying to show, cover a diversity of different cases involving quality or QTM, the market entry testing, as well as renewal testing, both for Pico products and for solar home system kits and for a family of products in example 6, as well as a partial test in example 7. So obviously there's a wide variety of different scenarios going far beyond just these 7, but we selected 7 that we thought were pretty representative of real cases that we see. And I'd like to ask Luli at this point to take the mic and present these examples.
Sure, thank you, Ari. Hello, everyone. So our first example would be for market entry testing for a solar lantern or Pico product. And as we all know, Pico products are those defined with PV modules of 10 watts or less. So for this example, this lantern would be going through market entry testing for the first time. So the likelihood of the invoice is that it will contain the base fee for market entry testing. It would also contain the per Pico product fee, plus the sampling fee and the invoicing fee. Please note that the base fees are based on, come with the agreement, the testing agreement signed. So if you have multiple products in one agreement, the base fee will only be charged once. But going back to this case, the total amount of the invoice with the new pricing has a very small increase from what we currently charge, which is just $50. So there's really not a lot of difference to a case like this with our new pricing approach. I will open it up for any comments, if any, or questions, please send those along through the Q&A box or the chat room. If not, I will proceed with the next example. So our second example would be for renewal testing on Pico solar product. And in this example, we assume that the product remained unchanged since it was last fully tested through the QTM method. The invoice for a scenario like this would include the base fee for renewal or retesting, and then the per Pico product fee plus the sampling fee and the invoicing fee. The difference from our current pricing is a little bit higher than the previous example, and this is because currently with our current pricing approach, we are only covering the sampling costs, but it doesn't really take into account the amount of time that we spend evaluating the product and taking it through the process. Again, does anyone have comments about this previous slide? If not, okay. Okay, we can move to the next one. The third example is for market entry testing for similar products. So in a scenario like this, a company might submit, for example, 2 identical products for quality verification testing. And according to our policy for testing similar products, we allow companies to fully test one product and then conduct targeted testing on the other, referencing results from the product that was fully tested. The invoicing for a case like this, when a company submits all products at the same time, would include the base fee for market entry testing. And because in this case we're talking about a Pico product, we would include the per Pico product fee twice, because you're submitting 2 products for quality verification. And then assuming that you have all products ready for sampling at the same time and location, we would only charge the sampling fee once, and it would also include the invoicing fee. The benefit of having all products ready for sampling at the same time is that you would save money in terms of sampling costs. And the other benefit of having all products into one agreement is that you would save money on the base fees. Does anyone have any questions about this slide? I think no. We can move to the next example. The fourth example is when a company submits a solar home system kit, which we all know are those with a PV module greater than 10 watts for market entry testing. And in this case, we assume that is a very simple kit, which has basically a battery, a solar module, and 1 light source. And then all components are ready to be sampled at the same time and location. And for this case, we would include, again, the base fee and then the per SHS kit fee, which is a little bit higher than the Pico fee because these products are different, and we do spend a little bit of more time evaluating an SHS, the components of an SHS kit versus the Pico one. Therefore the price increase is a little bit higher compared to the Pico product market entry testing example. Does anyone have any questions about this slide? Please send those via the chat room, raise your hand, or send us through the Q&A. No, I think we can move to the next example. The next example is when we have a company submitting a solar home system kit, but this kit comes with additional components. In this case, this example is a scenario where an SHS kit, has multiple light points and multiple light points and a battery. So if you pay attention to the image on the left-hand side, you would see that there's a tube light, then flashlight, and another type of light source. So for this example, the base fee of market interest testing would be included. Then we would need to include also the per SHS kit fee. And then to reflect the other components of this example, we would include we're including the per unique additional component without a battery, because in this SHS kit comes with a tube light and a TV, and then we would also include the per unique additional component with a battery, because this kit would come with a torch and a radio, and based on the number of components with or without a battery, you would have that fee multiplied by the number of components that fall under that category. And I'm not sure if anyone has questions about this, but I would like to ask my colleague Kim to maybe further describe a scenario like this for the benefit of all.
Hi, this is Kim. If anyone has specific questions, please chime in. But I just wanted to expand and say that the SHS kit with the components, it would be similar for a Pico kit with additional components. So these are components that are included in the kit, and each, as you can see, each one has a little different fee. And the reason for the difference between the component with a battery and the component without a battery is that there's more documentation that we require for each battery that we test, and then also more testing, and then therefore more test report review. And then also when we make a spec sheet or standardized spec sheet for products with components are include a lot more information. So the time to make that is a bit more too.
Maybe I'll take this opportunity also to explain what we mean by unique in per unique additional component. The idea there is that if you have multiple tube lights, or it's not likely, multiple televisions, really, if you have multiple units that are identical to one another, we're not going to charge you for each of those light sources. It's most commonly a light source. We'll just charge, you only get charged once for the first. If there are 4 different light points, all of which are identical to one another, we just charge for the first of those 4, if that makes sense. Because the others don't need to be tested. And so there's no additional cost.
Does anyone have any questions about the slides before we move to the next example?
Someone's raised their hand. And we also got a question. Is it possible to refer to additional components if we test a new product with same components? Is that a reference to similar products, like referring to the results from a component that's already been tested? If it is, then the answer is yes.
Maybe I can allow Mei-Ling to further expand her question if she wants to. Mei-Ling, you have permission to talk. Do you want to expand on your question?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if we, for example, let one of our SHS kits test with a TV, if we can refer to this test results if we let test another SHS kit also with a TV, or if we have to do the complete test with this component again. Did you hear me?
I did, but maybe it would be better if we can hear you present that question again.
For example, we have 2 different SHS kits, 2 different SHS families, and if we test one SHS family with a TV, is it possible to refer the test results for this TV for the second SHS family, which is not related or similar to the first SHS family?
Kim, can you address that question?
Yeah, a way that we allow referencing with the new pricing won't change. You can, if you've tested a component in the past, you can reference those results for future products, and then those would be similar products if they have the same components, but just used with in different configurations.
Okay, thanks.
So then the follow to relate it back to pricing, in that case, Kim, when that new product with the TV that includes the TV that's already been tested comes to us, when we're pricing that out, are we going to charge $60 for the TV, or no, because it's already been tested?
If we don't need to do any testing on the component, then we wouldn't charge that fee.
Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot for the explanation.
No problem. We also have another question. If we are developing our own tube lights, will that be considered as per unique add components as well?
Yeah, per unique additional components. Yes.
Yes.
Do you want to go on to the next example?
Yes. So the next example is when a company submits a product family that includes more than one main unit or PV module or one type of light point. I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with what a family of products is, but if that's the case, then please know that we can always have a follow-up call on this topic, because I know that this concept of family of products can be confusing. So I just want to remind everyone that you can reach out to the QA team via email, and we can schedule a separate call on this matter to go into deeper detail. But to explain this scenario, in this case, paying attention to the image on the left side, this company is offering a full kit and a different size PV module, and the same goes for the battery capacity. So for a case like this, the invoice will reflect the base fee for market entry testing. Then it would include the per SHS kit fee, because in order to put together a family, you have to first have one full kit tested. And then depending on the components that the family includes, you would have the other additional fees. And in this case, this family is including 2 per unique additional components without a battery, because it has a second PV module of 50 watts, and then a second type of light source. And then it would also have the per unique additional component with a battery, because it comes with a radio and a second main unit. As you can see, the battery capacity is higher. And then it would include the per new or revised product family fee. And the sampling fee would only be included once if all of the components plus the main kit are ready to be sampled at the same time and location, plus the invoicing fee. Kim, is there anything else that I'm missing on this example that should be highlighted now?
No, I don't think so. And like Lily said, if you're not familiar with the family of products and how that works, we're happy to answer questions about that separately or after this webinar.
Does anyone have any questions about this particular example? I don't see any questions coming up. Maybe we can move to the last example. And the last example is when a company has to retest some part of the product because it failed something during the QTM, during the product's full QTM testing. And for this case, the company needs to retest a light point. So when it's retesting based on the failure, a particular failure during QTM, the invoice for this would just reflect the base fee for renewal testing and retesting, and then the per unique additional component without a battery, because what needs retesting is a light point, and then the sampling fee plus the invoicing fee. There are other examples in retesting. In some cases, these can come up when companies have redesigned some aspect of the product. And in cases like this, please be aware that some additional testing may be required, and this would be reflected in other additional fees. Again, Kim, maybe you can give another example of how this might look like. But if anyone has questions, please bring those forward and we can answer them as they come along. I don't see any questions coming up. Does anyone on the QA team want to expand a little bit on this example for others' benefits?
I think Lily covered it pretty well. The most common, retesting happens when if your product's tested and doesn't meet one of the standards, and it can't be fixed by changes to the packaging or the user manual. And so that's what this is covering. And then, but we see a lot of different types of retesting. Commonly it's for a battery. And so these are for when you're retesting the same component after it's already been tested.
Okay, why don't I move to the summary? I wanted to just put all of these examples on one slide again and show you the current pricing and how these examples would be priced under the new pricing after October 16th. And you can see there is an increase in every case. In some cases it's small, just $50 or $100. In some cases it's a bit larger. In the case of a family of products where we had, I think it was 7 components that were being tested, you can see it's going to be more expensive. And then going back to this table, what we've done here is shown the prices for our quality verification services with the new pricing in the 3rd column, and then the same testing costs that we saw before, and then the total cost. And you can see that quality verification as a share of total costs does go up. Currently it's maybe around 15%, and in the future you can see here it's closer to 20%, and it could be higher in the case of the renewal, for example, which we saw earlier, where the current pricing only covers the cost of sampling and nothing else. So there's a larger percentage increase in that case of 23%. I'm sorry, it's not an increase of 23%, but the share increases to 23% of the total. And so just to reiterate, there you saw how some of these new things will work, like the pricing varying with the complexity of the product. And we discussed the benchmarking. And of course, there's the first time customer or a new customer discount. And I've reiterated here the things that are not changing. And these are all important to keep in mind. And that's it for the presentation portion. If people have any other questions, please ask, and we can go back to examples if that would be helpful. And like I said at the beginning, in case you missed it, we're going to make the slides available on the website along with the pricing table or nearby to the pricing table. And we're also going to post a printed or post a written Q&A, questions and answers, borrowing from the questions that people posed in the webinar. Today, the one that we held 12 hours ago, and the some written questions that were submitted separately. So please, if you have questions now or if you think of them later, just let us know and we'll add them to the Q&A. Okay.
Okay. I think we have one comment. What do you understand under similar products in example 3? Can you provide a deeper explanation of what we mean by similar products?
Yeah, Ari, can you go back to slide 3? We have a similar products policy on the website, and we can send you the link to that after this call. But the similar product is basically any product that shares components. So it comes in all different formats, but it's almost any time you're referencing results, you're talking about a similar product. And basically the reason that, or the definition or the reason that it exists is just to be clear that you don't need to retest the same things again and again. If they've been tested, they can be referenced. And so similar product is pretty broad in the sense that if you're referencing results from another product, then you have a similar product. And let me know if I did not answer your question.
I think it was answered.
Yeah, so in this particular example, there are 2 Pico products that the company is looking to quality verify, and they share one or more components. So one of those 2 Pico products is going to be tested fully, all of its components, and it will be tested as a system. And then components of the other product that are not shared with that first product will also be tested. And this will all be done under one testing agreement. Did I describe that correctly?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? If you liked this webinar, let us know. We should have like a little thumbs up somewhere here. Let's give people a few more seconds. If you have something you want to ask, just type yes or wait.
You can also feel free to follow up with us via email. I know that this is a lot to take in, and a lot of questions can come up later. That's perfectly normal. So.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you taking the time to walk through this with us today, and we'll be in touch soon.
Yes. Thank you very much for joining.
Thanks, everyone.